Hi,
Hi,
I'm Dave,
I am Chris.
and I'm from Deus Ex Machina, and he's from.
Rapid Wolf Games.
And today we're going to be talking about top 5 dungeon crawl games.
I'm screwed on this list. It's not that, it's just that when I looked at the games,
Yeah,
I realized
you don't have that many.
I haven't played. I don't have a lot that I would rate high on the list.
In other words, you have dungeon crawl games, but they all suck.
Well, the important thing, and this is the full disclaimer, I haven't played Descent, which I know is on your list.
Yes.
It's probably number 1. No spoilers, but I'm going to make... I'm literally pointing to the stands. I'm saying Descent's probably on your list.
Well, actually, the stand that's down there.
I know, but pointing to where you're... Pointing to the rafters where I'm going to hit the ball.
Yep.
So I started thinking outside the box about what class as a dungeon crawler. Because a lot of games are like, this is a dungeon crawler. And I go, well, actually, there's a lot more games that are a dungeon crawler. You just don't think of it that way as dungeon crawler. I think when people think of dungeon crawlers, they think of Descent and very games that are mechanically related to Descent. So when I look at it going, okay, there are games which are dungeon crawlers. They just don't operate like in the way that you would assume.
Like Clank.
Like Clank.
Or Dragonfire.
Yeah, or Dragonfire, which in defense, maybe I could have put Clank on this list. I didn't. But I like the list as I built them because they're all a little different.
Fair enough.
So in defense, I don't have Descent on my list, even though I know it's going to be on yours. If it's not, I'll be surprised.
All right, let's rock it. Okay, hold on. We gotta get.
Okay, now we can't get the time.
Can't get synchronized. Okay, ready? Let's just 1, 2, huh.
Smashing.
Whatever. You got with the paper before, anyways, when we're on sync. So whatever.
See, it's a psychological game. It's up here. It's all up here.
All right, take it away. Number 5.
My number 5 is there's actually a couple games that do this.
Okay.
And that is a card-based Dungeon Delver, where you're not using miniatures, you're not even sometimes even showing a map. You're simply laying the cards out, saying, this is my character that I would normally play. But instead of going through it, we're simply drawing cards and seeing what we're fighting. One of those games is Lost Legends, which is not on this list. What's on this list is the Bloodborne card game, which is a much better version of this one. Bloodborne card game is... they claim it's semi-cooperative. It's fully competitive because at the end of the day, you want more blood than everyone else. It's super cheap. It's like $36. Right? It's got a bunch of enemy cards which are taken from the game, which look grotesque and awful, which is amazing. And then they have a whole bunch of bosses you can fight. One of those bosses is horrible, and you should never play with it. But the other 5 or 6 are really good. Literally, if it kills you, you get eliminated from the game. But the other 4 aren't like that. So you fight through a bunch of monsters, you fight through a deck of monsters, and then after you get the blood, you can then spend that to keep and get better gear. And then you go through more and more powerful monsters until finally you get to the end boss, and you try to defeat the end boss, and then the person with the most blood wins. Very, very basic. But I love the fact that it is a competitive game, and you love when you pull out of where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to fight this guy, so I'm gonna leave to it, but I'm going to make sure that it destroys you. And there was a situation where it was like the last turn with me playing with James, who's a big trolling competitive player, and he was leading a round, and he was going to go after, and I played a card which did a little bit of damage to him, but it inflicted double damage against any player that used a melee attack. So when he drew his super powerful melee weapon, which he's been using for the entire game, it destroyed him, so he lost all the blood that he was earning up until that point. And then Nicole and I went tink, 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 and we killed off the main villain. And it was just incredibly satisfying. James still won, but I was just so happy that I was able to destroy him hard in the last turn. But yeah, Bloodborne, Lost Legends Lost Legends would be a better game if the game designer's rules were implemented, because it's got more complexity. There's more to the game. I love the card drafting element, so it's a better game if the rules were designed better, and if you didn't have to homebrew it. If you homebrew it, it's a better game, but I can't put that on my list. So that's my number 5 pick, Bloodborne, the card game. Off to you, David.
All right, so my number 5 is a game that if you had the entire library of the game fall on you, it would probably kill you.
Oh, so it's...
Gotcha. and it's in its second iteration. And it is basically the quintessential dungeon crawler for most people, and that is Descent 2.0.
I'm surprised this is so hot. This is
Low?
I thought this would be like 1 or 2.
No, it's number 5.
Oh, so Shadows of Brimstone is going to be number 1.
Nope. So
Because actually, I don't know. Is Shadows of Brimstone a dungeon crawler?
yes.
Oh.
God, yes.
Then it's definitely on this list.
Yeah. And
He has no. I'm nearly name checking almost every game you have because I know you have Descent and I know you have Shadows of Brimstone. You probably don't know what my. No, you can guess what one of them is.
So yeah, it's the quintessential dungeon crawler. You can start off the game picking your myriad of classes that there are available in this game. I have pretty much mostly everything, and then eventually I just got to a point where it's just like, I gotta stop because there's not enough room left, and there's no way in hell I'm gonna ever pull out all of it. So
Where are your Descents? Oh, right there they are.
So that is Descent 2.0.
Which I should play.
Yeah. It actually is a pretty good game.
What I have played is something that's going to be very unusual. Once again, mine's an unusual list. I was like, you know what? This is a dungeon crawler because you have swords, you have shields, you're exploring. It's Stuff Fables. Because it's Stuff Fables is a storybook dungeon crawler. Because you are drawing cards, you're reading
Next, you're going to say Mice and Mystics.
No, Mice and Mystics is an inferior game to Stuff Fables. Mice and Mystics is too simple. Stuff Fables, although more childish, is mechanically a better game. There's more strategy involved, more things you can do. I like the story. It's adorable.
You mean adorkable?
It's adorable. I had a little red cape, and you earn buttons you can spend. Mm-hmm. And it's also satisfying. And when you beat the end boss, it's actually incredibly satisfying. And then I love the story base. I think it's an evolution of Mice and Mystics. I just got Comanauts, which is an evolution of Stuff Fables, so I'm looking forward to that one. Although I've heard it's gotten mixed reviews.
Yeah, the rulebook sucks
for Comanauts.
Yeah,
isn't it basically Stuff Fables though?
I don't know, but I went to go read it and it was very just confusing.
Yeah. So so Stuff Fables, not what you expect for a dungeon crawler, but hey, you're looting, you're killing monsters, you're moving through a map. It is as dungeon crawl as they come. It's just for families and for people who think they're 12.
Cool.
So that's my number 4 pick, Stuff Fables.
All right. My number 4 is, again, another game that is in its second iteration. And in my opinion is the better iteration of the game. Because it removes the need to have a GM. And that is Mansions of Madness.
Second edition. So do you think this game is definitely a dungeon crawler?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's definitely a dungeon crawler. To the point where basically as you're exploring, you're pulling out the actual map tiles.
Yeah, you're pulling out the map tiles, you're exploring, you're trying to beat monsters.
You're trying to, yeah.
I love the fact that in this game is just like, oh, there's a monster. Oh, we defeat him. No, you don't. You
run.
You run.
You run hard.
When we played our last game, I was on level 2. The map was really messed up. It was like altering realities and so forth. Mm-hmm. And everyone was in a fight and just getting their butt kicked. Like, literally, they were running 2 or 3 rounds, and we knew the game was about ready to end.
Yeah.
And he was kicking the crap out of the other 3 characters. And I'm literally running for 3 rounds because I had the gun. I was the only guy with the gun. And I turn around, and I start emptying the clip and kill this guy, and I beat him. I'm like, thank you. Got him here. Just literally because the one monster was killing. Yeah. He literally dropped one character. Mm-hmm. And then another character kind of took an insanity because of the psychosis she was getting from that. And then I literally ran into the room and then shot my gun and killed the beast. And we were actually able to win that game. We've actually not lost Mansions of Madness yet.
Yeah, I remember playing one game of Mansions of Madness, and because it's got a limited replayability, because if you played one of the missions, you know what's going to happen again.
Yeah,
to a certain extent. I knew we had to get to this one person, but nobody was going, and it basically boiled down to it's just like, yeah, you took too long, and the world opened up and swallowed you all and died. It's like, yeah, that's what I figured.
It's, in my opinion, the best Fantasy Flight Cthulhu game.
Yeah. It is definitely one of the best ones.
It's them learning, basically applying everything that they've learned from all the crappy ones that they still sell and claim are good.
Yeah. Plus, also, I find it is one of the ones that is most thematically true to what H.P. Lovecraft wrote.
Yeah, without the whole racism part.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you really want to, if you actually read H.P. Lovecraft, it's like, oh, dude, this is some messed up stuff. Especially because he wrote it in 1920.
Yeah.
That's the part that just makes it even worse. It's just like, wow. But yeah, so that's my number 4, Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition.
My number 3 pick is a dungeon crawler, one of my favorite new dungeon crawlers, despite that I think that it is way too expensive because it is a miniature forward game, and that's Hellboy. Hellboy, giant box, 90% of its miniatures. There are 100 plus miniatures in the main box, and the expansions added even more. The actual game portion of it it's kind of like Mansions of Madness in a way, where so much of the game is simply the miniatures you're going to be moving around it. But with that game, they dump a lot of it into the app. So there's actually tons of content, but it's hiding in the app. Hellboy doesn't have an app. It just has this much content in this much box because everything's a miniature. There's no standees. Like, you're a miniature. Your meeple on the action tracker is a miniature. I like the fact that the tokens are also little tiny miniatures. They're not cardboard tokens. They're little plastic miniatures, right? Everything's a miniature. But it's a map put down, but it's the only cooperative dungeon delver where you didn't feel like every battle was a battle for your life. Until you got to the end boss, everybody is basically a pushover. Some of them may get a shot on you. But if you're friggin' Hellboy and Abe Sapien and Lobster Johnson, you do kick ass. You are amazing at your job. And I always state this. This was a very funny thing after like the second or third game. A friend of mine who was playing, not Lobster Johnson, but someone else who was a support character. And a killer support character. Like, he's just like, wow, this guy's good. And he's like, at the end of the game, after we won the game, he's like, I'm not used to this. He's like, I'm not used to being so emboldened and enabled. I'm not used to playing a game where my character felt powerful, where he felt more powerful than the rank and file creatures. And you play another game, most of the game's like, oh my god, there's a goblin, flee! Mm-hmm. Like, oh my god, 3 goblins, we are screwed. Now it's like, what's this? Oh my god, there's 5 frogmen. Well, there's 4 of us. We can blow those guys out in 2 rounds. Like, you really, like, I'm going to move in there and kick the crap out of these guys because I'm Hellboy. Oh my god, you took 4 damage. I'm like, okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to light these guys on fire. I'm going to shoot him with my gun. That's going to do so much damage. I'm going to blow him out of the freaking sewers. Yeah, and when you get the end boss is a miniature like that big. And you're like, oh, that should hurt me. And guess what? Maybe he may hurt someone, but you're still going to kick his ass. And it's a fun game. It's just limited in its playability for a game that's as expensive as it is.
Yeah.
And that is Hellboy, the board game.
All right. My number 3, will tell you basically this company gets a lot of money for me. It basically is a reskin of another game, but it's a reskin of every nerd's wet dream. And that's Star Wars. So this is Imperial Assault, which is basically Descent reskinned in the Star Wars universe.
Is that really what it is?
Yep, it really is.
I actually didn't know that.
Yep, it is.
That line was like, give me your board game card.
Yeah. And it is, again, amazing. However, they changed it up a little bit in the fact of there are side quests and the campaign is just so massive. They also included skirmish modes. They basically thought, what is it that everybody wants in a Star Wars game? Okay, let's put that in this game. So
now, like I said, educate me, because for someone who loves the Star Wars franchise, I don't own a single Star Wars game outside of Monopoly, which is kind of weird.
That is sad.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. But Imperial Assault is cooperative?
Yep.
Why don't I own this?
Yep. And you can actually do one versus all, so you can do 5 players with one person plays the Imperials and the other people play the Alliance, or you can play using the app where nobody plays the Imperials, and it is basically Mansions of Madness, but using Star Wars.
I gotta get this game.
Yeah. But really, you need to end up sinking a lot of money into it if you really want the full experience, because it has
That's what's one of those
a
games.
lot of
A lot of
content.
content, yeah.
This one.
But you can get the core set and just start with that and just build up.
Well, it
It's not one of
depends.
those games-
If you want to play the campaign,
Like Mansion of Madness, you can get the core Mansion of Madness, which already costs enough as it is.
Yeah.
And then when you finish it, you can just buy other missions.
well, that's the only thing with the quest, especially using the app. If you're gonna play Imperial Assault, you need to, when you play through the core set, if you want to buy expansions, basically you got to start all over again, because it latches into other things, as so decisions you make will then affect where you go in the expansions.
No. Okay.
So
All right. So that's your number.
number 3, Imperial Assault.
My number 2 is a game that you're surprised on here, but it has to be on this list because it is fun. That's Gloomhaven. I know Gloomhaven is getting further and further off your list, so I know it's not on this list for you because the
It's
moment
not even in this room.
wow, it's still oddly enough it hasn't got played in a few months just because there've been so many other games we wanted to try because we actually have a bunch of games we haven't played yet, and we're committing ourselves to playing games like we haven't played. Like we played a game we got a year ago. We haven't played. We played it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is at the end, but we played it, and she's like, play it again. And we played it 3 times, and bang, 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 and over the course of 3 hours. It's just like, well, we've been sitting on this thing for a year. But Gloomhaven is still a fun game. It is the opposite of what I was just saying with Hellboy. Because in that game, like, oh, there are 6 monsters. In D&D, the entire session of Gloomhaven is one battle in D&D, which takes you 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. But it takes you 3 hours, but it's Gloomhaven.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just weird. They took the entire combat experience of one single D&D encounter and turned it into a much more complicated simulator of combat maneuvers. And it's good because, thankfully, there's not much more complexity. You're not exploring this dungeon for 4 hours. You're going to 2 rooms, and that's it. The battle begins immediately. But I have to give them credit for the amount of detail they put into the lore, into the setting, the city events, the road events.
It's just not very linear, though.
Yeah, like I said, once you play the game, you're expecting more and more story, and then you end up finding more events. But it's not like, well, my character has gone through his arc. Like, no, there's no arc, there's no story.
No,
This is almost like a history lesson of a world that you're just playing.
See, my problem that I have with this game, and it's true with a lot of other games,
I'm sorry. Let me just sit back.
is that it has a predefined retirement mechanic, which is cool. But by the time I hit that retirement,
Is it?
it's interesting. By the time I hit that retirement mark, I want to feel powerful. I never feel powerful in Gloomhaven. I always feel like Joe Blow Schmo.
You
that
always
can't do anything.
seem one screwed up card away from dying.
Yeah. And the pulls on the cards are so defeating sometimes.
I like the fact, and I'm being sarcastic with this, like I'm saying, I always found it interesting that a lot of the higher advanced cards you get are shredding cards, which makes you
die faster,
which means you can do more damage, but you're not going to last as long.
Yeah, so you don't.
So
feel
they don't feel powerful. What you get, of course, is more hit points.
Yeah, and that's
which is your only saving grace is that you get more hit points.
Exactly, and that's the thing I always had a problem with Gloomhaven. It was just like, when I have played Gloomhaven and I have played a lot of Gloomhaven, so I'm just going to put that caveat out there because I've played like 52 sessions of Gloomhaven. I've played a lot.
Oh yeah.
When I go to retire my character and they've been playing for 23 sessions, and I still feel like going up against some of the monsters, like if all of a sudden 5 elites popped, and I'm getting ready to retire my character, I am at level 8, and I still go, oh, this is going to hurt. We're probably going to die. That should not be happening.
Another great example of this, which is another kind of thing people will be critical about, is the reason why I don't like Elder Scrolls games, video games, specifically Oblivion, which is an example. I'm not bringing up Skyrim. I'll bring up Oblivion. I play Oblivion. I get a sword. I get a shield. I play for 6 hours. Through those 6 hours, I look, a skeleton. Oh, I just managed to kill that skeleton. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, phew. And then 6 levels later, Oh my god, a skeleton. That skeleton almost killed me. Why? Oh, that was a level 6 skeleton. That was a level 1 skeleton. But they looked exactly the same. Yeah, but this is a level 6 skeleton. I go, no. Like, no. That skeleton, I should be a cakewalk now. You know why? Because D&D isn't dumb enough to have 20 levels of skeletons. There's 3 skeletons. And when you fight a level 5 skeleton, it's a Minotaur skeleton, and you know it's bigger. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's where it peaks out. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you fight after that? I don't know. Something else.
Yeah.
Right? Something else, like Darkspawn or whatever. And it just, I don't get that idea. And of course, with Gloomhaven, it's the opposite. If the opposite is the fact with them, like, here's this guy that you fought 20 sessions ago, and now you're going to fight him again, but you are not you're not that much more powerful, so he can still kick your ass.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, fine. I'm still saying I like mechanically the way the system works. I like the production quality. I love the amount of detail they put into the game. It's just a fact that although it's number 2 on my list, which means not number 1, it's not even it probably wouldn't even be in my top 10 games of all time. But it's number 2 on this list because it's a good dungeon crawler.
See, another problem, I'm going to harp on this for one more thing. Another thing I don't like about Gloomhaven is the card shredding mechanic.
You know, if we did a review for Gloomhaven on Dice Tower,
it would not go well.
It would not go well.
But here's the thing. You'll get a map. And I remember this mission. You haven't played it yet, so you won't understand.
But you won't understand, son. Let me talk about this.
There is a setup, and basically the map setup is basically an enlarged H. And in the tops of each of the H's are buttons that need to be pressed to unlock doors, which are then unlock the rest of the map so you can go and complete the mission. To get there, they have to all be pressed at the exact same time, which means you have to split the party. Never split the party. You have to shred your cards to get that distance, and then you have to go back. Now, when you're talking about a hand of 12 cards...
That was one thing that always bothered me. The fact that movement led... You had to...
You had to burn cards to move.
You had to burn cards to move.
That blew me away.
That always blew me away. Because like in camp... Like all the monsters are gone. All the monsters are dead.
But you still got to burn a card.
But if you sit there and do nothing, you are getting exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, literally, that makes no mechanical sense.
No, it makes absolutely no sense. And when you have that... Because you say, it's only a couple rooms. No. As you get further on...
No, there's several missions where you defeat all the beasts in that room, and you are still on a ticking clock.
Well, no, there's even in other... Further as you get into the campaign, because you guys haven't got this far, there are large maps. And I'm just like, how the hell are you expected to traverse this entire map without exhausting? It's impossible. And people are just like, well, you have to use certain abilities so you can get all your cards back. Yes, there are a few characters that have those abilities, and you use that card, that still only gets you back, say, 8 cards. That's still 4 turns, technically. Maybe a bit more, because then you can do another rest, and you can do another rest. But you can only do that so much because you exponentially are cutting your cards down more and more each time, because you have to discard one. And I hate that mechanic, and that just made me dislike that game so much because there is no monsters, or worse, here's the worst part. That particular map where you had to cover that huge distance, there were monsters. And they were not easy monsters. They're like frost demons and flame demons. So now you're splitting the party and having to deal with frost and flame demons? Yeah, invariably somebody died. And the worst part too, when we went in there, it was right after one guy had retired. So now his character had dropped down in levels and had gone up only to the prestige level. Prestige? Is that the right name? I can't remember now. Whatever it was of the game that you have got to. So now we were at level 6. He was at level 3. So even though he retired and unlocked a new character class, he was weak as... And we got wiped. And it was just like, this isn't fun. It sucks all the fun out of it. The second you have a huge map, you look at the map and you're like, we're not going to have fun tonight. Guarantee it. Because again, it makes no sense, the exhaust mechanic in that game.
That's number 2, Gloomhaven.
My number 2 would definitely kill you and your whole family if it got dropped its entire collection on you, and that is Shadows of Brimstone. Yes.
God, what's
This
number
game
one then for you? What's number one?
Yeah, this game is massive.
Well, it's massive for you.
Well, if you own everything for it, it's massive. It is just.
It's like 30% of this room.
It's insane. But literally, it takes all the best tropes that you want, where you can explore all sorts of different worlds in the same game. So basically, it's like 15 different games in one, because you can go from Wild West to all of a sudden you're on a derelict spaceship. And it's just like, cool. And
one day I'll have to play this game.
you are going to have to play this game one day. And the one thing I love about this game, it actually goes up to 6 players. Yes! Get rid of that 4-player count.
He has friends, I know.
It's just, it's so frustrating, because it's just like, you get that one person like, oh, can I come too? It's like, great, now we got 5. Nope, can't play that game. Because you have 2 couples together, and that's 4.
Yeah.
Then you get someone else, oh, that's 5. Too late. Yeah. I can get 4 people together, no problem. I usually can get 5 or 6 together. So yes, I love Shadows of Brimstone. It is majorly mini-heavy.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And unfortunately, it is build the mini heavy, because you actually have to build all the miniatures. But, and you know what? Yeah.
How many pieces is like...
That is a dragon. And keep in mind that your minis are normal 30 mm minis, so they're dead big. So there's that guy. Then there's the Harbinger.
He's a pushover in comparison.
Yeah. And then there's something like this.
So how many pieces is the Harbinger?
Harbinger is...
Must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I have lost count.
9?
It's probably about that, yeah. And then you have like the living statue. These are all bosses. This is from the most recent one, and no, they don't come painted. But
And you haven't painted the big dragon yet?
No, we keep holding off painting the big things. But it's just
That is amazing though.
that. Yeah, it is an amazing game, and when you encounter these guys,
Shadow. Whoever makes this game, give them some free shit, because seriously, like, what are you waiting for? Just give them some stuff.
Yeah, when you play this game and you invariably pull the cards as you enter the room for one of these guys, you literally have that, like, that your guts just dropped out your butt, because you're just like, we're going to die. We're going to die. And it is a slog at that point. And you know what?
I'm going to play this game and I'm like, is that it? This game sucks. And you'd be like, get out.
Yeah, pretty much. But you're not going to like it because it relies a lot on dice.
I like dice. I just like being able to mitigate dice.
You can somewhat mitigate them. But anyways, so yes, that is my number 2, Shadows of Brimstone. Alright, number 1.
Finally! Breaks the streak.
The last video of the night.
Last video of the night? No, good.
Well, we have to do the wrap-up. Yes. Yeah. Alright, my number 1 is a game that came out a while ago, 4 years ago. Or rather, kickstarted 4 years ago. And they finally...
full of a god.
They just recently completed the trilogy on this game. And unfortunately, from what I hear from most people, if you didn't back this initially and get it cheap to get the whole trilogy now, you pay an arm and a leg, which I feel sad for you guys, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Of course, it's going to be on this list.
Of course it's going to be on this
list. You haven't played it yet.
It's still amazing. And that is Midara. You talk about the game that went from almost obscurity.
He's going to hate this game. He's going to play it, he's like, oh my god, this game's so broken. I recant everything I just said.
No, I've been watching a lot more reviews on this deck, and it is getting deserving all the time.
I told you I reduced my pledge to like $1.
Yeah.
But I think I still get access to the pledge manager.
I think so.
So I think I can get back.
Yeah.
We'll see, because my pledge manager launched today at the time of this recording, so we'll see how much more money I make.
Yeah, it is basically huge narrative, huge story.
If we can't get by all like if we stall on Gloomhaven, we'll stall on Madara. That's the reason, that's the big thing for me. That's the reason why I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this, because if I'll stall on one, the other one I'll stall on Madara as well. I'll spend $300 on Madara. We'll get 12 missions into it, and then we'll stall on it. I mean, if we're stranded on a deserted island, and I'm with 3 of people who I tolerate for long periods of time, and like Madara falls, I'm like, great, we get to play this every single day for the next 5 years. Like, great, we can finally get used out of this. But if in my day in life, it's just like we have 180 other games. Let's play that.
Yeah,
I don't get like that habitual traditional Tuesday's Gloomhaven night anymore. We have Tuesday's Madara night. I just don't have that. I just can't justify it.
No, but I mean, that's the one thing.
And you're tossing Gloomhaven, so you need a new Gloomhaven, so you have Madara.
Yep. This Madara ends up, if you add the complete trilogy, it has 180 hours of gameplay, which is staggering. But sometimes you just have to say, you know what? There's a Moby Dick out there, and sometimes you gotta get it.
It's the white whale.
It's the white whale. That's what, to me, Madara is the white whale, and I applaud the guys.
I've backed white whales before, and there's just those situations that so far the big white whales, like the big expensive bombastic games I bought, have all disappointed me in some way. Nemesis was close to being okay. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah,
but a lot of the big budget games, like Hellboy, I love, but it was an expensive game.
Yeah.
And Who Goes There was disappointing.
Yeah.
We'll see how Planet Apocalypse
yeah.
pays out, because it's still, only 10 months late.
Part of my thing with Succubus Publishing and Madara is that, these guys slogged it out for 4 years in obscurity.
I give them credit for it.
Their game only generated $500,000 initially.
Now they need all the money.
When they released it for this one, after people actually saw what the game was going to be like, their most recent Kickstarter came in at $3.3 million.
Although they got trounced by Etherfields.
Yeah.
Etherfields just crossed 4.
Yeah. So
did you back Etherfields?
No.
Oh, good pound it, man. No. Fighting Awakened Realms.
No, I just couldn't. I didn't see the point, because it's
like from the maker of This War of Mine. Nope.
Yeah. No, it's Madara is going to be is my white whale. It's got to eventually hit the table, but
have to.
Yeah,
like financially.
Yeah, financially, it's got.
Otherwise, they're gonna make you buy. And it's like, okay, fine. How about you back one of my campaigns for once? Like, I was like, no, I give you Madara or you. Fine.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So
that was my number one, Madara.
What are we doing? My number one. You talked about it. It's our common one. I think it's our only common one. Yep, it's our only common one. So which one would be?
Mansions of Madness.
Bingo. I love the app-based storytelling, removing the need for a GM. Like we've talked about, we've defended the app use for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is so much fun. It's one of the best communal games for that player count. Mm-hmm. For what I love is because we have 2 game surfaces, so we will play on the sectional in front of my 65-inch TV, and we'll play it on the 65-inch TV. And we have a counter that's actually quite big. So we have a coffee table that actually lifts up, and it's actually quite large. So we actually can play on that surface. So we were playing on that surface, and it was on a big 65-inch TV. And I'll tell you, that is the best way to play that game. It is super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing more we can say. Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. It's a great game. There's a reason why I'm probably going to be... I was trying to get Fantasy Flight to send me a game for free, but I don't think they're biting. It's too bad. So I may have to buy Journeys into Middle Earth, because it's basically the same thing. But yeah, I would die if they made that sci-fi. I would literally...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would... Well, that's Imperial Assault.
Is Imperial Assault story-based as mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except I think I just want more dark space. Like after Nemesis, I was like, oh god, you guys can do so much more of this. It would be awesome to have an alien base version of Mansions of Madness. Oh, I want all of this. So number 5 is Bloodborne, the card game. Number 4, Stuffed Fables. Number 3, Hellboy. Number 2, Gloomhaven. Number 1, Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. On to you.
Number 5, Descent 2.0. Mansions of Madness at number 4, 2.0 of course. Imperial Assault is number 3. Shadows of Brimstone is number 2. And the Moby Dick, number 1, Madara. So, I've been Dave.
I have been Chris.
Come on, you can do it once.
I can hear his neck snapping. And remember, The rules are just...
Apparently he can. Remember, the rules are just suggestion. Play the game how you want to play it.